In the heart of New York City, the sun filtered through the skyscrapers, casting long shadows over the bustling streets. For Ava, a spirited 17-year-old, this day began like any other. She strolled home from the library, her headphones in but silence playing through them, a trick her father taught her to remain inconspicuous while staying alert. The city hummed with life around her, but something felt off. As she rounded the corner of 5th and Pine, she caught sight of him, a man in black, casually leaning against the entrance of a cafe, phone in hand. At first, it seemed innocent enough, but as she crossed the street, her instincts kicked in. He moved with her, his gaze flickering toward her when he thought she wasn't looking. Ava's heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. Years of training from her father, a former intelligence officer, taught her how to mask fear. By the time she reached the corner deli, Ava was certain he was following her. Instead of panicking, she ducked inside, letting the doorbell chime behind her. The aroma of fresh bread filled the air as she pretended to browse the sandwich counter. Through the glass display, she caught sight of the man lingering outside, his face partially hidden by dark sunglasses. Amateur, she thought, though her pulse quickened. Real professionals were like ghosts, slipping in and out of sight without drawing attention. This man was clearly inexperienced at best or deliberately trying to intimidate her at worst. After grabbing a bottle of water and paying, Ava stepped back into the sunlight, her mind racing. A car window across the street provided a clear view. He was still following her, keeping his distance but not enough to fool her. Deciding to test him, Ava turned abruptly and headed into a nearby department store. The bustling crowds inside provided numerous escape routes, and she weaved through the aisles, pretending to inspect a scarf display. After 10 minutes, she ducked behind a mannequin and waited. Sure enough, the man in black entered, scanning the store with an agitated look on his face. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, but curiosity kept her rooted in place. Who was this man? Why was he following her? More importantly, what did he want? Instead of running, she decided to flip the script. Ava exited through the side door of the department store and slipped into a narrow alley. Moments later, the man appeared at the entrance, his silhouette framed by the streetlight. He hesitated, glancing both ways. This was her chance. Ava stepped into the open, her voice calm but firm. "Why are you following me?" He froze for a moment, surprise flickering across his face, but then a smirk appeared. "I think you're mistaken. I wasn't following you." Ava crossed her arms, narrowing her eyes. "Really? Because you've been behind me for 3 blocks. You're not very good at this, are you?" The smirk faded, replaced by something icy. "Go home, kid. You don't want to get involved." "Too late," Ava retorted, her heart pounding. She felt the weight of her phone in her pocket, her finger brushing against the emergency dial button. "I'm already involved. Who are you, and what do you want from me?" For a moment, he didn't answer. His jaw tightened, and his hand twitched toward his jacket pocket. Ava took a step back, her muscles tensing, but instead of a weapon, he produced a small, sleek device. He tapped it once, and a faint buzz filled the air. Ava's phone screen flickered, the emergency dial disappearing. "Listen," he said, his voice low and urgent. "You're in over your head. I'm not the one you should be afraid of." "Then who should I be afraid of?" Ava demanded, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to remain calm. The man's demeanor had shifted, it was no longer cold but almost protective. "People who don't care whether you live or die," he replied, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting someone to appear. "They'll come after you for something you don't even know you have." Ava's breath hitched. "What are you talking about? What do I have?" He shook his head. "I don't have time to explain. Just stay out of sight and don't trust anyone." Before she could respond, he turned and walked away, his black coat billowing behind him. Ava stood frozen in the alley, her mind racing. Who was he? What was he trying to warn her about? And most importantly, what had she just gotten herself into? As the distant sounds of the city returned to her ears, Ava clenched her fists. She wouldn't let someone dictate her life. If he thought he could scare her into hiding, he was mistaken. She wasn't running, not yet, until she had answers. The next morning, Ava sat at her desk, staring out the window at the quiet street below. The events of the previous day replayed in her mind, sharpening her resolve. She didn't know who the man in black was, but she wouldn't let him keep her in the dark. If he wanted to follow her, fine. She'd lead him exactly where she wanted him to go. Pulling a map of the city from her drawer, Ava planned her route through familiar places, crowded locations where she could observe him without being exposed. Her destination was an abandoned alley behind a small bookstore, a perfect spot to corner him. After checking her backpack for essentials, a flashlight, her still glitching phone, and a small canister of pepper spray, Ava stepped out of the house. The sun was high, casting a warm glow over the city. Adjusting the straps of her backpack, she set off, her nerves tingling with anticipation. It didn't take long for her to spot him. As she exited a coffee shop, the man in black stood across the street, partially concealed by a bus stop shelter. His casual posture belied his watchful eyes. "You're making this too easy," Ava thought, suppressing a smirk as she began walking, maintaining a steady pace. She led him through the outdoor market, weaving between vendors and shoppers. Occasionally, she stopped to inspect items, using her reflection to keep an eye on him. Next, she entered a library with tall, dusty shelves that offered natural hiding spots. Ava lingered, running her fingers along the spines of books while watching him try to maintain sight. After leaving the library, she took deliberate turns through quieter parts of town, confirming he was still behind her. By the time she reached the bookstore, her heart raced, not from fear, but from the thrill of control. The bookstore was old and dimly lit, with narrow aisles packed tightly with books. The shopkeeper barely looked up as Ava entered. "Back in a minute," she said softly, slipping through the store and into the alley behind it. As she positioned herself at the far end, waiting for him to take the bait, the door creaked open. The man in black stepped into the alley, cautiously surveying the space. His dark coat billowed slightly in the breeze. "You're persistent," Ava said, her voice steady despite the knot in her chest. "I could say the same about you," he replied, his tone calm but edged with curiosity. "You've been leading me on quite the chase. Why are you following me?" For a moment, he was silent, tension filling the air. Then he stepped forward. "It's not safe for you. You've drawn the attention of people who don't play fair." Ava's jaw tightened. "You keep saying that, but you're not telling me who these people are or what they want." "I don't have all the answers," he admitted, surprising her with his honesty. "But I know they're watching you, and if I don't, someone worse will." "Why are they watching me?" Ava pressed. He hesitated, glancing over his shoulder as if sensing danger. "I don't have time to explain. Just know that whatever you're caught up in is bigger than you think." Before Ava could respond, footsteps echoed from the far end of the alley. Both she and the man in black turned sharply, their bodies tensing. A figure stepped into view, another man in dark clothes, more imposing, with a mocking smile. "Looks like I found you first," he taunted. The man in black shifted, positioning himself between Ava and the newcomer. "You shouldn't be here." The second man ignored him, his eyes fixed on Ava. "You've been causing quite a stir. Didn't think a kid like you would be so hard to catch." Ava's heart raced. The newcomer wasn't here for the man in black, he was here for her. "Stay back," the man in black warned, his voice sharp. "What are you going to do, hero?" "You're outnumbered," the newcomer sneered. Ava's breath caught in her throat as the man in black murmured, "Run." But she didn't move. "I'm not running anymore," she declared defiantly. The alley felt alive with tension. No one was going to decide her fate. "No one's doing anything," she shouted, stepping out from behind the man in black. "Not until someone tells me what's going on." Both men froze, their eyes snapping to her. The newcomer raised an eyebrow, amusement flickering across his face. "Feisty, huh? I like that." "Stay back," the man in black warned again. "You keep saying that, but you're not giving me anything concrete," Ava shot back. "Start talking or I'll call the police." The newcomer chuckled darkly. "Sweetheart, the police won't help you. They don't even know what's going on." "Shut up," the man in black snapped, his tone cold. "You're making this worse." The second man shrugged. "She's got a right to know, doesn't she? After all, she's the one holding the prize." Ava's brow furrowed. "What prize?" "I don't have anything." "Not yet," he replied, his smirk widening. "But you will. And when you do, it'll be worth more than you can imagine. Too bad you'll never live long enough to use it." Ava's stomach twisted at his words, but she forced herself to stay calm. "You've said enough," the man in black said, his voice laced with fury. "Leave now." The second man's smirk faltered for a moment. "Fine. I'll go for now. But don't get too comfortable, kid. I'll be seeing you soon." With that, he turned and disappeared around the corner, leaving a heavy silence in his wake. Ava stared after him, her heart racing. "You shouldn't have stepped out like that," the man in black said, his tone stern but with a hint of concern. "What was I supposed to do? Stand there and let you two argue about my life?" she snapped. "I was handling it." "Yeah, looked like you were doing a great job," he said sarcastically. "You want to tell me what he meant about a prize?" The man sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "It's complicated." "Try me," Ava said, folding her arms. He hesitated, his eyes scanning the alley. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "Your father isn't who you think he is." Ava's heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" "He used to work for an organization, a very dangerous one. When he left, he took something with him. Something they've been trying to get back ever since." Ava shook her head, disbelief washing over her. "That doesn't make any sense. My dad's just my dad." The man interrupted gently. "Look, I don't know all the details, but whatever he took is connected to you. That's why they're after you." Ava's breath caught. "Why me?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But I've been trying to keep you safe while I figure it out." "Why do you care?" Ava demanded. The man hesitated, his jaw tightening. "Let's just say I owe your father, and I keep my promises." Ava stared at him, her mind spinning. Everything he said felt like something out of a spy novel, but the urgency in his eyes told her he was serious. "What do we do now?" she asked quietly. "Now we get you somewhere safe, and then we find out who else is watching." For the first time, Ava felt a flicker of hope. She still didn't trust him completely, but he was her best chance for answers. As they left the alley together, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that her life had changed forever. Whatever lay ahead would test her in ways she couldn't yet imagine. In a bustling diner on the outskirts of Chicago, a young woman named Lily stood by the foggy glass door of Sam's Diner, bracing herself for another day of forced smiles and hurried footsteps. The neon sign flickered overhead, casting a warm glow on the worn booths and scuffed floors. Despite its imperfections, Sam's Diner felt like a second home to her, even if it barely paid enough to make ends meet. At 28, Lily carried the weight of responsibilities she never anticipated. Medical bills from her late mother's illness had drained her savings, and the constant knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. Rent was overdue, the pantry was nearly empty, but she clung to the hope her mother instilled in her, that kindness could light the way through darkness. Stepping behind the counter, she found Sarah, the diner's manager, arms crossed and glaring at her. "You're late," Sarah snapped, though Lily was only 5 minutes past her shift. "Sorry, the bus was." "Enough excuses," Sarah cut her off, flicking her hand dismissively. "We have customers waiting. Get to it." Lily took a deep breath, knowing that arguing would only worsen her situation. She dropped her coat on a hook and grabbed a stack of menus, heading to greet the first group of customers. Each table was approached with genuine warmth. She was determined to provide a bit of extra kindness, especially to those who looked like they could use it. Her first table was a family of 4. The mother looked worn out, while the father scanned the menu, clearly searching for the cheapest items. Lily recognized the signs of tight finances and offered a gentle smile. "Welcome to Sam's Diner. We have a great pancake special this morning if you're interested." The mother hesitated before nodding. "We'll just share 2 orders," she whispered, casting apologetic glances at her children. Lily's heart ached, knowing how small those portions would be. "Sure thing. I'll bring some extra plates," she replied, jotting it down. Nearby, Mr. Thompson, a regular, sat hunched over in his booth. His threadbare jacket and trembling hands signaled that he could barely afford coffee today. "Morning, Mr. Thompson," Lily greeted. "Can I get you your usual?" He fiddled with a few coins on the table. "I'm a bit short today, dear. Just water for me." "Don't worry," she replied with a smile. "Coffee's on me." His relief lit up his face. As she moved back to the kitchen to place the breakfast order, her mind churned with worry. She was already behind on her bills, yet she couldn't stand watching someone struggle. Returning to Mr. Thompson's booth, she poured him a steaming cup of coffee. Sarah hovered nearby, her eagle eyes fixed on Lily. "Mia," Sarah hissed, voice low but sharp. "You're not running a charity. If you give away another meal, I'll deduct it from your paycheck. Got it?" Lily swallowed hard and nodded. She had lost track of how many times Sarah had threatened to reduce her wages over her acts of kindness, but she couldn't imagine ignoring hungry children or seniors. Just then, a tall man settled quietly into a corner booth. He wore a faded brown jacket and jeans, looking like a typical truck driver. His name was Alex, and he had been coming in sporadically for weeks. What no one else knew was that Alex was actually the undercover owner of Sam's Diner, observing how the diner operated without anyone being aware of his true identity. As Lily approached his table, she greeted him warmly. "Morning, Alex. Can I get you a black coffee and the breakfast special?" "Absolutely," he replied, his tone warm and friendly. While Alex waited for his food, Lily busied herself with other customers. The family of 4 finished their pancakes and discreetly slipped a note under their check. "Breakfast is on me. Have a wonderful day." Lily wanted them to feel no debt, she just wanted to help. When she returned to clear the table, they were gone, leaving behind a small thank you note. "Lily, you're doing a great job," it read. Sarah, predictably, took notice. "Lily." Sarah barked, cornering her as she carried a stack of dirty dishes. "I know you're giving meals away. This is coming straight out of your paycheck." Without waiting for an argument, Sarah snatched the check and stormed off to the register. Lily stood there, dishes clattering in her shaking hands. It felt unfair, but she wouldn't change what she had done. Helping others was who she was. Moments later, Alex's breakfast was ready. Lily composed herself and delivered his plate, keeping her usual bright smile intact. "Here you go, Alex. Enjoy." "Thank you, Lily," he said, taking a few bites while observing the diner's tense atmosphere. Sarah's voice carried from the kitchen as she scolded another employee, her tone harsh. As Lily refilled Mr. Thompson's coffee, she noticed Alex watching her with a thoughtful expression. There was something kind about his gaze, as if he was measuring the atmosphere of the diner rather than just enjoying a meal. When Alex stood to leave, he motioned for the check. Lily approached, expecting the usual routine, but he slipped her a folded bill wrapped around a note. "This is for your kindness," he said quietly, handing it to her. "And for the meals you've given others too." Lily thanked him, tucking the folded paper into her apron. Typically, she would open it later, but as soon as he left, she took a chance to peek. Her breath hitched. Alex had left her a $1,000 tip. Even more startling were the words scrawled in neat handwriting, "Keep shining your light. Thank you for showing what real compassion looks like." Trembling, Lily nearly dropped the note. $1,000 was more than she took home in weeks, especially after Sarah's deductions. Tears filled her eyes, and she hastily swiped at them, overwhelmed with relief and gratitude. For the first time in ages, she felt a glimmer of hope. With that money, she could catch up on rent or pay down part of her mother's lingering medical debt. As she tucked the money away, she promised herself to honor Alex's message by continuing to help others. The next morning, Lily trudged up the narrow staircase to her tiny apartment, flipping on the overhead light. The dim glow revealed peeling wallpaper and second-hand furniture. Collapsing onto her couch, she took the folded bills from her apron pocket. The reality of the money overwhelmed her, and sobs of relief and disbelief rose within her. Before she turned in for the night, she whispered a silent thank you to Alex's note, promising herself she would keep paying kindness forward. However, at the diner the next day, the tension was palpable. Sarah was more agitated than usual, barking orders at anyone within earshot. Lily tried to stay out of the line of fire, focusing on her tables, but every time she passed Sarah, her eyes cut to Lily's apron pocket, as if expecting to catch her stealing. Midway through the breakfast rush, another server named Jenna sauntered over, her smirk typical. "I saw you talking to that truck driver yesterday," she said, leaning in conspiratorially. "He left you a big tip, huh?" Lily froze, cautious. "Just a standard tip," she lied, not wanting to stoke rumors. Jenna raised her brows. "Is that so? Because I thought I saw you tearing up after you read a note from him." Lily pressed her lips together, unsure how to respond. The unease settled in her stomach. Jenna's tone suggested trouble, but Lily tried to brush it off. Later that evening, Alex returned, ordering a simple burger and fries. Lily felt her pulse quicken as she greeted him, the memory of his generosity fresh in her mind. She wanted to thank him but hesitated, sensing Sarah's watchful eyes nearby. As the diner buzzed with activity, Lily risked a glance at Alex, who was quietly observant. She wondered if he was a reporter collecting stories about waitresses in small towns. The thought filled her with both hope and anxiety. What if Sarah found out? Finally, she mustered the courage to approach him as he finished his meal. "Everything okay?" she asked, feeling oddly nervous. "It's great. You're doing an excellent job," he replied. "I appreciate your kindness yesterday." "That was unexpected," Lily said softly. Alex smiled. "You do a lot for those who can't afford it. That matters." Just then, Sarah slammed a stack of cups onto the counter, the tense atmosphere returning. Lily mumbled a quick thank you and scurried away, her heart racing. As the dinner rush began to wind down, Lily noticed Jenna's sabotage becoming more insidious. Napkins were knocked to the floor, and sugar containers mysteriously went missing, only to reappear behind the register as if Lily had misplaced them. Every time Jenna was nearby, she feigned innocence, claiming ignorance. The real trouble came later that night when Sarah summoned Lily to the back office. "Lily, come here now," she commanded, her face thunderous. Heart pounding, Lily followed Sarah into the cramped office, where Jenna stood with an expression of forced concern. "Lily, care to explain why diner money was hidden in your apron pocket?" Sarah accused, thrusting a wad of crumpled bills in Lily's face. I don't know where that came from," Lily protested, disbelief flooding her voice. "I saw her rummaging around the register earlier," Jenna added, smirking. "Maybe she got tempted." "That's not true," Lily shouted, panic rising within her. "I would never steal." Sarah's gaze was icy. You're always giving out free meals and coffee. Are you trying to cover it up? Tremors of panic ran through Lily. She recalled the $1,000 tip from Alex but knew this money was different. Someone had clearly planted it to frame her. Please, check the register records, she pleaded. Enough. Hand over your apron, clock out, and go home. You're suspended until I can sort this out, Sarah ordered, her tone final. Tears burned in Lily's eyes as she looked at Jenna, who feigned a sympathetic sigh. Terrified and humiliated, Lily removed her apron and set it on Sarah's desk without another word. As she stumbled into the hallway, she overheard Sarah muttering about calling the diner's owner to report the theft. Mia realized that if the owner heard about a theft accusation, he might close the diner altogether or fire her on the spot. Her heart raced as she grabbed her jacket and hurried out the back door, the cool night air stinging her cheeks. Days passed in a blur of panic and despair. Lily spent her time cooped up in her apartment, replaying the scene in Sarah's office. When she finally mustered the courage to check her mailbox, a stack of bills greeted her: electric, water, and a notice of eviction from her landlord. One evening, there was a soft knock on her door. Hesitant, she opened it to find Mr. Thompson standing there, clutching a plastic bag of groceries. "I thought I'd track you down," he said, his smile warm. "You forgot to give me my senior discount before you left." Lily was too choked up to speak. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. This means so much." He nodded, hobbled away, and Lily felt a flicker of hope reignite. That same night, she tried calling the diner, but the line was always busy. It was only when she checked social media that she discovered an online petition demanding her reinstatement. As comments flooded in, stories of her kindness surfaced, but Lily couldn't help but wonder why Alex hadn't spoken up for her if he truly believed in her compassion. The following night, as she tossed and turned on her couch, Lily spotted headlights outside. Peeking through the curtains, her heart raced as she saw Alex exit a sleek car. He was meeting with Sarah. Panic surged through her as she overheard snippets of their conversation. They discussed financial reports and the risk of closure. Lily felt betrayed. Why was Alex meeting with Sarah, the very person who had suspended her? Overcome with emotion, she rushed down the steps and called out, "Alex, I need to talk to you." Both Alex and Sarah turned, surprise flickering on their faces. "What are you doing here?" Sarah snapped. "Daniel," Lily said, her voice trembling. "Why are you meeting with Sarah? What's going on?" "Lily, it's not what you think," Alex said, stepping closer. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." "Find out what?" she demanded, tears brimming. "That you've been working with Sarah to shut down the diner?" "No," he insisted. "I own Sam's diner. I've been undercover to see how things run." Lily's mouth dropped open. "You own the diner? All this time?" "Yes," he confirmed. "I needed to see how customers and staff were treated and whether I should invest further or shut it down." Her mind reeled. All those moments he had observed her kindness made sense now. But anger bubbled inside her. "So this was a test? You tipped me to see how I'd react?" Alex sighed, his expression sympathetic. "I never wanted you to be hurt. I was gathering evidence of wrongdoing. I didn't want to intervene too soon. But why not step in when Jenna framed me?" Lily asked, frustration rising. "Because I needed proof," Alex replied. "I've been tracking the discrepancies and just found out Jenna has been stealing and blaming you." With that revelation, everything began to shift. Alex turned to Sarah, "You suspended Lily without evidence, and now we need to address this." After a confrontation, Sarah was relieved of her duties, and Jenna faced termination. "Lily, your suspension is lifted. I'd like you to come back as a manager," Alex said, his voice steady. Lily's eyes widened in disbelief. "A manager? I've never managed anything." Alex smiled. Leadership is about heart and integrity. You've shown that. Feeling a surge of gratitude and hope, Lily nodded. I'll do it, but I'll need your help. Of course, Alex replied, and the diner buzzed with excitement as word spread. In the weeks that followed, Sam's diner flourished. Lily introduced a "pay it forward" wall, where customers could buy meals for those in need. With Alex's mentorship, she tackled inventory and budgeting, bringing a newfound energy to the diner. One quiet evening, as they closed up, Lily glanced at Alex. Did you ever think we'd end up here? Not at all, he laughed softly. But you proved that kindness is a business asset. With gratitude in her heart, Lily felt a sense of belonging. Together, they stepped out into the crisp night air, knowing that kindness truly lights the way, even in the darkest times.